Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Oregon Board of Education regular virtual meeting of February 16th. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and a moment of silence. Moment of silence this evening is for Mary Wasserman. She was one of our cafeteria workers who, by the way, was 101 years old. Betty Angela Trezzo. Betty Angela was a wind teacher. Raymond Kromenacker, he was one of our custodians. And I also want to add Fire Chief Ed Ellis. He was a CPR trainer and safety instructor for the district. Will I have a moment of silence, please? Pledge first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May we have the roll call, Mrs. Fruth?
Yes, Mr. Shea.
Present.
Mr. Kennedy.
Here.
Mrs. Miller.
Here.
And Mrs. Molnar.
Here. May I have a motion, please, to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy.
Yes.
Mr. Shea.
Yes.
And Mrs. Molnar.
Yes. Item 5 is staff and community recognition. We don't have any tonight, but I do want to, at least not in person, but I do want to recognize the varsity and JV wrestlers who took the track championship and the 7th grade girls basketball people who took their league championship. Moving on to public participation, Mr. Gregory.
I don't have anything at this point in time, so I think we're good to move ahead.
Thank you. Leadership update, Mrs. Schiavone.
Oh, Jeff's here. 6.
Good evening. So if you don't mind, I will share my screen and just kind of go over the slideshow that I put together just to give you an update of what we've been doing over the past 11 months and kind of where we're headed with technology. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, can you all see that? Awesome. All right. So the first slide just is to share with you the members of the team, myself, Network Administrator Drew Predmore. We have technology integration specialists now, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. Deb Filer and Andrea Shack. And then our field technicians are Daryl Anderson, Nick Mahaney, Mitch Myers, and Doug Predmore. Our department goal, as always, is to take care of everyone's technology needs in a complete, timely, and professional manner, and always ensure that what we're doing fits with our educational goals. I've always shared myself that it's about putting the technology into people's hands, but it's more than that. It's also about putting it to the best beneficial use to enhance and enrich the teaching and learning, because that's really what it's all about. So that's the two pieces to our department goal. Just to kind of give you a little history of what's happened in the winter and spring of 2020, we prepared the distribution of about 1,800 Chromebooks and chargers to our K-6 students. That was in about 24 hours, we got those ready. We rolled out a student online help desk system. We rolled out a virtual conferencing environments when we first got into the pandemic, and countless websites. sorry. I apologize. We did virtual trainings for the teachers on all of those things. And we also unveiled a OCS Technology Hub website, which was a place where we could put all of these virtual trainings, tutorials, and the district's digital resources. We did exchange hours for students to exchange their damaged devices, and we did so out of the WIN Center. And we organized the collection of 3,600 devices in May. Then in the summer of 2020, we reorganized, inspected, physically cleaned, repaired, and readied all of those devices to get them ready for the next school year. We readied and deployed 75 updated devices for faculty, staff, and substitute teachers. We upgraded faculty devices to a new operating system. We're kind of almost halfway there. I think we have about 100, and that number might be a little bit low there. We repaired 630 student devices, and we created over 100 new staff user accounts. And then, of course, all of our regular summer maintenance of cleaning projectors and other just maintenance things around the district. I want to talk a little bit about our high school device refresh. I think all the board members know about this situation that we were in, but I wanted to, just say it publicly at the board meeting. We had fully planned to refresh the high school MacBooks, which were 7 years old at that time, with Chromebooks. But with the pandemic, the devices did not arrive as planned. So we were able to acquire some used Chromebooks, and those used Chromebooks were distributed out to the students to use while we waited for those devices to arrive. About the end of 2020, we finally, we ordered them in March, and finally in the end of 2020, we finally received those devices, and then the protective cases arrived in January. We readied them, we got them ready to go, and they were distributed out to the high school students just the week of February 1st. It took over 100 man hours to process these, and I want to thank, we had a number of paraprofessionals that helped us unbox all, because when they came in, we were kind of like in normal business hours. So we were spending our days helping, just kind of keep the wheels going in the district. And so we pulled some paras on board, and they really did help us get the devices unpackaged, get them ready for us to process. And they also helped us put the cases on the devices. So I want to publicly thank that group of paras that helped us with the process to get them ready. In the fall of 2020 and then into the winter of 2021, which we are in right now, we as a department adjusted our schedule to meet the needs of the situations going on in the building. We were going from, all remote to hybrid to fully in, back to hybrid, and we needed to adjust as well. So to get the ball rolling, when we started to come back in, we kind of got the teachers ready with their virtual classrooms. We ordered some additional pieces of equipment so that they could kind of create their own little video stage in their classroom, so that they could conduct class and be able to teach in their classrooms while giving the students that full classroom experience, but virtually. We moved the in-person exchanges out to the elementary buildings, or out to the buildings, I should say. It was more convenient for the families to go to their home school, and with the secretaries being back in session, it made it easy for us to do that. And the building secretaries have done a wonderful job helping our students with those exchanges. So that's kind of, even when we came back hybrid and all of that, we kept that going. So all of the students do their exchanges through their home school. We continued to support 500 plus employees and 3,600 plus students, as well as all the behind the scenes infrastructure. And then we added a technology integration specialist to our team, Andrea Shack. She was previously a 7th grade teacher at Facet, and she applied for the position and got the job. She is doing a fantastic job. Andrea and Deb's responsibilities. Deb Filer is our technology integration specialist that's been on staff. This is now her 8th year, or 7th year, I'm sorry, in that position. And they're responsible for helping teachers utilize the technology in their instruction. So they are, Andrea is still kind of in the job shadowing kind of stage where she's learning the ropes, but she's doing a fantastic job. In the fall, continuing on, we added a 3rd technology support area. So the staff, if they had any kind of technology issues, they would submit a ticket into the technology help desk. We added then in the spring, we added the student help desk area. And this being our 3rd technology support area, it typically was when a teacher wanted integration help, they would email Deb Filer. But now that we have 2 of them, we needed a kind of a hub. So we created a 3rd environment where the staff can put in their ticket, and Andrea and Deb work together to help out that teacher with their integration needs. Just a couple of help desk ticket statistics over the last 11 months. We have taken care of 2,250 staff tickets. That's about 200 per month. A staff needs 1,700 student tickets. That's about 150 per month. And so far, even with just a month in place, we've had 50 teacher integration tickets. So 50 different requests that the teachers have put into this new integration system. And then we did a slight redesign to our district website. We added a couple more items across the bar of the website and kind of reorganized. Some of the menu items were getting really, really long. So we decided to reorganize that just a little bit. This spring, we, as we always do, we will be providing support for state testing. We always have at least one tech personnel in every building that's conducting state testing, and they make the rounds around the building to make sure that the classrooms where the testing is going on, they have any tech issues taken care of. So that will be happening coming up here. I am working on right now adjusting the planning for continual device refreshes. So as time goes by, devices get older, and we need to refresh all devices, whether it be the devices that the Facet students use or the devices that the staff uses. Some of our staff are using a device that's now 8 years old. So we need to start thinking about refreshing those devices as well, because that hardware will just begin to fail. We're going to begin piloting and planning for the future of what classroom technology looks like. And by that, I mean the projectors and the smart boards and the screens that they use as they're conducting their digital lessons. So begin looking at that. And then we'll be working on collecting and reorganizing and evaluating and so on 3,600 student devices to ready them for the next school year. So that's kind of an ongoing thing every year. One really cool thing that we're going to be introducing, and that Deb Filer and I have been wanting to do for quite some time, is a digital badging technology training program. What it is, it's a way for us to create kind of like online courses for the staff members, teachers, secretaries, administrators, cafeteria people, anybody that needs to get some training, putting these types of things together, and they can take these training sessions at their convenience. So it's kind of like creating their own little online world where they can get professional development with their technology needs or desires. This system that we're developing, and this is Andrea and Deb that are working on it right now, we will be able to monitor their progress, provide interaction with them during the process. We'll be able to gauge their mastery of whatever they're attempting to learn, and then we'll provide badges for their successes. So that's something that I'm so excited that we will be able to do starting this summer, giving the teachers the opportunity to do some of these things over the summer. Also, over this summer, we are going to refresh our entire fleet of wireless access points. So all those little things that you see up in the ceiling, we're going to refresh all of them. This is a great opportunity for us to do because it gives all of our equipment an updated brand new piece of equipment, and it actually is going to reduce our costs to the district annually. So this is a no-brainer in my opinion. So it's cheaper and we'll have all new equipment. We'll refresh whatever technology throughout the district based on what priorities we have and what funds are available. And then as always, we do cleaning projectors and networking closet equipment and all that stuff that we do every summer. And if there's anything to dispose of, we do that as well during the summer. In addition, and this is another item that I've wanted to get accomplished, and I'm thrilled to say that it's something that we are going to be moving forward with, implementing a district student data privacy policy. This ensures that the district is only using websites and software that protect student data. Sometimes this website or company will sound fantastic, but when you dig deep, they're taking our student data and they're selling it for their profit. And that's something that we definitely do not want to get involved with. So we began making staff aware of this over the past year. Back in the spring when we had when the pandemic first came out, these companies were offering their full complement of their services for absolute free, which made it very enticing. But some of them we had to say no to because they just weren't safe places for us to put our student data. So, and we'll continue down that path. I've been lucky enough to be on a team of 15 other tech directors across the state, and we're working on rolling out a statewide program that incorporates something called a National Data Privacy Agreement. And the hope is to have vendors sign off on this NDPA, which will kind of make it easy. If a vendor signs off on it, then we know that they fit our criteria, and school districts all across the state can look at this list and say, oh, that's a safe company to use. Because they've signed this data privacy agreement, I feel comfortable moving forward with this company. I've got the website there, and if anyone wants to know for more information, I can definitely email you the link to that SDPC website. It's a wonderful website and a wonderful consortium, and I'm very proud to be a part of the team that's helping Ohio join other states that have gone down this path. The main focus points for the all of 2021 will, as always, to ensure a smooth rollout of our student devices, to pilot the program of the technology setup that I talked about just a little bit ago, having a few locations maybe in each building that talks about replacing the projectors, the outdated projector technology with wireless connections to TVs and LED displays. Implement our digital badging training program. Evaluate district software to ensure that it complies with the Ohio DPA, continually find ways to be as efficient as possible with all of our technology support that we provide to the district, from soup to nuts. And then, as always, the thing that's on our agenda is to continually look at our technology course of study to make sure that we are preparing our students for the technology of today as well as tomorrow. Reflecting over the past year, This is a big slide, but really what I want to share with you is that I was a part of two. I've been a part of two monthly technology director meetings, one for the state of Ohio, so all tech directors across the state of Ohio, and then another group that's just focused on Northwest Ohio. And I've been a part of these for years, but those groups became vital when we fell into this pandemic, because they were critically vital, because it really helped all of us around the state provide support to each other. But it helped me because it allowed me to hear everyone's journeys, their successes and their struggles. It helped me work through our process here at OCS in order to provide the best possible scenarios for our teachers and students. And it really was a benefit to hear how others were working through all of these, this new normal. These groups were wonderful. And I just wanted to share that we were not alone in all of this. And the one thing I want to point out with this, and the reason why I wanted to share this, is I truly felt, as I was going through these weekly meetings, and now they're monthly meetings, we've kind of stepped back to monthly meetings again. But I think Oregon City Schools did a fantastic job comparably. We prepared, trained, supported our teachers and students in all areas, not just technology. We talked about everything in these technology director meetings. But it wasn't just all about technology, but in all areas to create the best educational environment possible for our students during our remote learning, and now with hybrid and so on. We continue to meet monthly, and I continue to listen and hear and see things that will make us better. Again, not just technology wise, but all over the board. So that's my my presentation. So I'll take any questions if you have them, or if not, I'm done.
Thank you very much, Dawn. I think it was a very good presentation.
Thanks, Mike.
I
Okay,
don't have any questions, Dawn. Thank you so much. It was really good. Thank you.
you are very welcome. All right.
Well, and let me just say, guys, on behalf of Dawn, I mean, what she does behind the scenes and how much she has taken on and how much she's willing to do at the drop of a hat is incredible. We are very, very lucky to have Dawn. And I think your comment there at the end, Dawn, about how Oregon really, really did hit, a lot of the nails on the head going through this process. And I couldn't agree with you more, because of the outstanding leadership of so many people. Working together throughout this entire, year now, almost, 1 month shy of a year dealing with this stuff. And certainly, you know how stressed I got when we weren't getting our Chromebooks, as I'm, asking you every day, are they here? Are they here? Are they here?
Me too.
And you were just as nervous. I agree. And then we were, through your connections, we were able to find some used Chromebooks, which actually got us over the hump to at least get moving in the right direction. And all that is because you've been on top of it. So again, thank you for everything. I appreciate it very much.
You are very
Very
welcome. All right.
Good.
Bye,
Thank you.
Okay, that was a great report, by the way. And Jane, you're up next for the treasurer's report.
All right. I just wanted to, I know you all got the reports I put up in the website. The first thing, there will be no updated appropriation measure at this time. We are receiving another 1.7 million from the COVID funding, but we don't have our plans. I don't even know that they have it up in the CCIP yet. We also have received our monies related to the, there's always additional monies for people not spending in the prior year in our federal grants. And those monies have not yet been assigned to all the different grants. So next month we'll have an appropriation update, but not this month just yet. Our revenues as a whole are up 1.8%. The majority of that is due to real estate taxes. I say this every month now with our personal property utilities. And our expenses are running at 0.4% of last year, primarily because we had so much remote, we just haven't used our materials and supplies budgets and things like that. So, that will probably catch up a little bit as we come back in session. I did want to review, we did have a finance committee and we had our audit exit commit meeting. We aren't really allowed to discuss the report just yet, but it'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks, and all is well, but we really can't go into the details. Something I wanted the board to be aware of, this is going to impact my staff more than anybody else, but we're moved up. The whole state is going through updating of the software systems. And I didn't want to be a guinea pig, so I'd originally said, put us in the back, but if something comes up sooner, let us know. Well, something came up, and so we're going to be just a little bit past the middle in the terms of the number of schools in the state. And in April of this year, we are going to be switching to the online system. It's a web-based system. This is going to be a lot for my staff. We're a little bit behind the ball. We're going to have to do some training on our own here. And the hardest part will be we're going to have to run dual systems for a while. That's pretty standard in software updates, but it's a state software update, and I'm excited to get it moving, but we'll see how we are. See how excited I am in April. We'll see how that goes. Good news, our bond refunding will finalize in February 25th. We discussed it at a previous board meeting. The numbers, when they actually were bid out, came out better. It's not huge numbers, it's 0.03 mils, but every little bit helps. We'll be saving 1.4 million over the term of the loan, it's roughly right around 130,000 a year. But that's still good for just our bond fund. So any little savings, we already had refinanced it back in 2007, I believe. So that we didn't have as far to, go this time in terms of savings. But we did save at least 2 basis points of interest. So that's very good. Finally, the finance committee discussed this. There was some confusion with a recent retirement. And so I'm going to look into putting together a retirement checklist. And then I think the board, and perhaps Mike will cover this more in his report, but the board might want to consider the notion of exit conferences again as people are leaving our district. So unless there are questions, that is my report tonight. I am excited about the bond refinancing, guys. So at least that's going through, and we are saving some money for our taxpayers. So unless there are questions, that's my report tonight.
You have a motion to accept the treasurer's report, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion or questions? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mrs. Molnar,
Yes.
and Mr. Zavisky. Okay.
Okay, he must be muted. Consent agenda. Are there any items that the members of the board wish to pull from the regular meeting consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, a motion is needed to vote on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Shea,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Zavisky,
Yes.
and Mrs. Molnar.
Yes. Okay, we shall move on here to new business. Item A, College Credit Plus Agreement. It's the motion to approve the following College Credit Plus Agreement for the 2021 school year with Owens Community College. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Mr. Zavisky,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
and Mrs. Molnar.
Yes. Item B, the 22-23 school calendar. We need a motion to approve that calendar. You have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Zavisky,
Yes.
and Mrs. Molnar.
Yes. Item C, a graduating senior. We need a motion to approve the following Clay High School graduate pending full fulfillment of the state and local requirements. And it is Riley Frankie. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Zavisky,
Yes.
and Mrs. Molnar.
Yes. Congratulations, Riley. Item D is a resolution that authorizes the employment of certain individuals granted temporary substitute licensure in accordance with House Bill 409. May I have a motion to accept that resolution, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion, this is a 1-year only agreement for people that's for this year only. These people would all have an interview and a background check. I mean, we're not going to take an 18-year-old off the street and put them in front of a classroom. They'd have to go through the entire process and be approved. Any other discussion or questions about that? Mr. Gregory, would you have anything to add?
Hal, in regards to that, is that just they have to have a high school diploma? Is that all they have to have?
Correct. That's all they have to have. I mean, we could have added other additional criteria. Most districts are not, like a 2-year degree or something like that. But we just kept ours with the way the law was written, at least in this resolution. So what we've been doing is, there's just some outstanding individuals, mature adults, vast majority of who we've already been interviewing, in hopes that this would be approved, that we could use, that can be put in front of students for just the remainder of this year. I think it's a great thing. I hope it continues, to be honest with you. The sub shortage isn't necessarily new during the pandemic, but it's certainly been brought to the forefront because we've needed even more than typical. But we've had sub shortages for years. So I think between this and what we pay subs in our district, we should be in pretty good shape for the remainder of the year. I'm hoping. It sure has been that way the last 2 weeks. So fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Other questions or discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Zavisky,
Yes.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
and Mrs. Molnar.
Yes. Item E, donations. We need a motion to accept the following donations. From Fassett Junior High School, Larry and Leanne Kessling donated $500 to the 7th grade class. At Eisenhower, Brian Gyrus donated $200 for Eisenhower band instrument repairs. And at Clay High School, Sue Mayeski donated science equipment. May I have a motion to accept these things, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion?
I just want to just add the St. Charles Hospital did donate a box of hat, gloves, and scarves to both Coy Elementary and the Clay Cares Closet that Hal delivered on our behalf for us.
Thank you. Okay, anything further? Roll call?
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Mr. Zavisky,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
and Mrs. Molnar.
Yes. Item F, a band trip. We need a motion to approve the Clay High School band to travel to Chicago, Illinois from April 20th through the 22nd of the school year 2022. There will be no cost to the district for this trip. The students will pay the entire cost, or the band boosters will fundraise for the cost of the trip. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion. Okay, roll call.
Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Mr. Zavisky,
Yes.
and Mrs. Molnar.
Yes. Item G, disposal of equipment and materials. We need a motion to dispose of the following: 1 hub jack and 1 toolbox. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Shea, excuse me,
Yes.
Mr. Zavisky,
Yes.
Mrs. Molnar.
Yes. Item H, disposal of equipment and materials. The items listed on the January 12th agenda for disposal have been disposed of in accordance with board policy. Okay, moving on to the superintendent's report. Mr. Gregory, you're up. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. Did everybody get my copy I emailed out? Just to get, okay. Just so you have that to reference. So really just a lot of end of year planning and next step planning, right? That we're all going through moving forward. This week we start back 5 days a week with K through 6, although today kind of threw that out and we'll kind of see how the rest of the week goes. But tomorrow is a full school day for kids, and very excited to get kids back. Obviously though, it's going to continue to be a little bit choppy moving forward. We are between the vaccinations, which is in 2 weeks on the 5th and the 6th for staff. We determined that Friday, the 5th, we would have as a remote learning day to allow our flexibility for our staff. Well, just today, we kind of we rescheduled our parent teacher conferences, which were scheduled for today, to the Thursday right before that day to bring some kind of continuity for parents, so they would be able to at least plan for that Thursday and Friday. Thursday being the parent teacher conferences, which is rescheduled from today, and then the Friday day. So I know in the past when we've kind of chopped the weeks up, where we'd like say, okay, we're going to have this parent teacher conference on a Tuesday, and then we have a Friday off for some reason, wasn't always the favorite of many of the families. So we tried to, I guess, pair the reschedule of the parent teacher conferences with that 5th. So there was, I guess, an easier way to plan. So we'll get that word out to our parents. Really, this is the first I'm kind of putting it out there publicly, since we just kind of landed on the day earlier this afternoon. So Thursday, March 4th will be the K through 6 parent teacher conferences. So no students will attend that day. Students will attend 7 through 12 on that day. So going back up to our return to school plan then for really grades 7 through 12, I know I emailed the board our plan, or at least our tentative plan a couple weeks ago. And I don't really want to unveil that tonight because I do have a few more people that we need to talk to, but certainly our goal is to bring back our students here in the fourth quarter, eventually to 5 days a week. And so the plan really is to start moving forward with that right around the beginning of the fourth quarter. So please be looking for, I guess, a formal announcement maybe towards the end of this week or beginning of next week on that as we move forward. So without going into and saying the specific dates right here tonight, does anybody have any questions on kind of that rollout? It's going to look and feel very similar to how we did K through 6, kind of a step phase in approach. Been having lots of conversations with other school districts. Our plan will be very much in line with most of the other school districts in the area. Not that every date will be exactly matched, but certainly within the same time frame. We're all going to be mostly moving towards this goal of bringing our kids back to school full time. And certainly the vaccinations of our staff has been a huge reason why we're able to do that, or feel like we're able to do that moving forward. And I do just want to give a shout out to that vaccination process. I know I was a part of it. Jane was a part of it. And over 400 OCS staff employees were a part of that process at University of Toledo. It was a well-oiled machine. I volunteered there for a day and a half and got to see it, up front and in personal, how well it was organized. And again, I can't say enough to not St. Charles, but Mercy Health and Matt Sapera, who's the vice president in regional development and operations. I mean, he really took the lead with Eric Zaginski of the health department, and they just combined resources and made this happen. And I'll tell you, I said this in an interview, it should be a model for the state. And if it isn't, they need to come see what these guys pulled off, because it was amazing. I do want to thank Carol Sonkrant, Pam Shea, Kristen Bender, Karen Slomka, Dean, and Jennifer Coy for coming and volunteering during those 2 days at different times. We had the most volunteers of any school district there. There were a lot of people volunteering, but I know OCS was well represented. And I know our staff felt comfort in seeing a kind of a familiar face when they walked in, specifically maybe on Friday, a little bit more. So again, the vaccination process went well. I have a handful of individuals that were not able to make it that weekend. So I'll be working with the health department and Mercy to find out where we can plug them in on upcoming clinics. To my knowledge, there won't be a specific educator makeup time, but they will have priority to get into the clinics, right, that are open up for those phase 1B individuals. So that's on my things to do this week. Obviously, there was some clinics canceled due to the snow this week, so things got a little, I think, goofed up in terms of the vaccination clinics, but hopefully by next week we'll know. I did give you kind of a rundown of dates of Clay's end of school year events, because I just wanted to get you dates. I talked with Mr. Jersky, Mr. Sandwich this afternoon. As you can see on my report, there's a lot of final plans to be determined. There's a lot in the works for all of these, but Mr. Jersky's goal is to make sure all of these things happen in some way, shape, or form. And that includes the National Honor Society. You know, prom's a very tricky thing, but we're looking at ideas. Honors Night, Scholarship Day, those are the 3 big academic ones. The Operation Graduation Committee, run by families, is going to do a senior car parade. I learned that today, so you can kind of mark that down. And then we're trying to get a hold of the Seagate Center right now. We're having a little bit of connection problems to find out what they're thinking related to the possibility of opening up the Seagate to a broader audience. Did find out that if approved by the health department, we can get a waiver or a variance on allowing more people. So we're going to be pushing hard. We've already kind of dropped the hint to Eric over there at the health department that, you know, many of our districts are looking to use either Seagate or the Huntington Center or those large venues that can spread people, you know, way out. But none of us can do it if there's only 300 people allowed, right? I mean, that just defeats the whole purpose of graduation. So we're working on it with the goal of having a as typical of a graduation as possible on June 6th. So any questions about any of those things? I will certainly pass along the information as we find out exactly whether these things are in person or virtual or some hybrid combination.
Quick question, Hal.
Yeah.
You're on the spot. Tomorrow's remote for 7 through 12, but K through 6 would be in. Any chance of any calling of school tonight due to some of the back county roads? Is that going to be a more?
Yeah, I don't know. Not tonight. Nothing tonight.
Okay.
You will see a couple school districts making some calls tonight. In my text string, I know Washington Local's looking at something. Maumee might be calling a delay. They're having some problems with buses rounding corners in tight areas, right? And those types of things, given snow piles. But, you know, Mr. Sandwich and Terry, you know, our Dillinger, our transportation director, we're going to get out real early in the morning and evaluate that super early and find out. Most of the other districts are all planning on going, at least in Lucas County. So unless there's some major, I heard Carol say fog tonight, you know, if there's some fog or there's some ice that reforms over the roads, or we certainly can't get buses around corners. But right now, I'm not feeling like that'll probably be the case. So,
Okay, so if anything's called in the morning, it'll be that 5:30, 6 o'clock as normal. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks
Again,
for the listening.
we use the 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock as our final, but I certainly try to do it much earlier than that if possible.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks, Al.
Hal, with the number of students that we have going back now, do we have majority of parents driving the kids into school, or how are the pickup locations where we have the drop-off points? Is that something that we drop? Some of those are on private property. Are those snow removals taken care of? Because this is pretty big snow we have.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't know, Mr. Sandwich, if you want to address that. Like I know we do, drive-bys and see if those are, where we stand with those things, and we'll certainly be doing them in the morning.
Yeah, that's correct. Terry goes out really early, and then I follow up with her. But that's all part of the check in the morning. So we'll make sure that those are appropriate and good.
Yep, for sure. Those are all things that we got to look at after something like this. I saw tonight in the news that it's the 5th largest snowfall in single day that we've had in ever. So 12.4 inches. And so trust me, my back is going to feel it tomorrow morning from shoveling today. And then finally on my report, just want to let you know that, Mrs. Fruth mentioned that $1.7 million. We're certainly going to work very hard at putting together a recovery plan for our kids, a summer program. So we're continuing to work on that. It's all going to depend. I mean, the scope and size of it will all depend on the interest from our families and our kids and our interest from our teachers. And if we can find teachers interested in working this summer, and we can find parents interested in having their kids attend a program, then we're gonna do a massive summer program if we can do it, including busing and if food if we need it and all those types of things. But again, it's only as good as if we have our staff who are able and willing to do that, and we have families who are just not burned out and willing to send the kids. And a lot of times the kids we want to come to these are some of the challenges that we have, as you know. So we're continuing to get on that, and you'll probably see here in the next month or so a solid plan, and then with advertising the last couple of months of school to really begin to build up that summer program. And I do see it possibly even carrying on into the next school year with after school programming and more organized after school programming. I know the money doesn't have a expiration date of immediate, at least. I know it doesn't have to be spent by, the start of this year or at the end of summer. So we at least have next school year. And I think it's even beyond that a little bit. So we can take our time. So that's my report, Mrs. Molnar, unless there's questions.
Anybody have another question? Okay, moving on to old business, we have the following policy has been reviewed and revised and is being recommended for adoption. It's the independent educational evaluations policy. You have a motion, please?
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Zavisky,
Yes.
and Mrs. Molnar.
Yes, and moving on to board committee reports. Finance? Mr. Shea, you were at that meeting. Do you have anything this evening?
Yes, I was. Jane pretty much covered everything on there. We're going to be putting that group together for the checking out at the end of employment, a checklist, making sure that everyone is aware of the proper things, making sure they choose the proper insurance policies when they leave, and making sure that they check with the state on their retirement plan and stuff like that, and maybe giving a little assistance as they're stepping on. Because this is a big choice, and we did have a couple situations, or at least one situation that just came to all of our attention. So I think we'll be going in the right direction forward and being in a positive attitude to try and take care of that situation. That's all I have.
Thank you. Capital improvement, health and safety.
No report.
Okay, policy personnel, we don't have any new policies, but I expect to be inundated any day. Academic,
Just a couple of highlights. The kindergarten parent night will be held on April 21st at 6 o'clock via Zoom. It's a webinar. And then the ACT will be given to the juniors on February the 24th. And then just as Hal mentioned, the learning recovery plan, and hopefully we'll have more details to come as that gets more organized. That's it.
thank you. Legislative. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Nothing at this time.
Legislative and student achievement.
At this time.
Okay, board discussion. I do have something this evening that came to my attention through parents and through the teachers union. And as we enter the next phase, having our children going back to school daily, I do want to assure everybody that our parents and our staff and the public, everybody, that our schools are about as safe as they can possibly be. Since last spring, we have reinstated all custodians who were placed on leave, and we have employed 3 more custodians. 2 of these have been hired strictly and specifically to disinfect our classrooms. Each of these, I guess we'll call them disinfectors, are assigned to 3 buildings per night, and they use electrostatic and backpack sprayers for efficiency, and everything is disinfected nightly. The classrooms are still cleaned every other day as in pre-COVID, but they are disinfected each and every night. And that disinfection is first and foremost in our schools. And I would also like to say that I'm in receipt of a letter from Mr. Ben Pfeiffer, President of the Oregon City Federation of Teachers, ensuring that our cleaning and sanitizing levels are in line with bringing students back full-time 5 days a week. A copy of that letter was distributed to board members. So I just really do want to reassure everybody that our buildings are being well taken care of and they are as safe as anybody can make them. Do we have any other board discussion? Anything at all? Any questions or concerns? Okay, how about executive session, anyone?
None from me tonight, Mrs. Molnar.
Okay, anybody else?
Nope.
Okay, I have as March 16th for our next meeting, which will be at the Clay Learning Commons unless something happens, and we will notify you that we would be going back to remote. But as of right now, March 16th at the Clay Learning Commons. Anything else for the good of the group?
No, I'll just add to that. We will continue, even with in-person board meetings, we'll continue the live stream on YouTube. So I just want to, let folks know, even though we may not be virtual in this setting for the actual meeting, we'll continue to live stream it.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you. Anything else? May I have a motion to close the meeting, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Zavisky,
Yes.
and Mrs. Molnar.
Yes. And thank you, everyone. Appreciate your attendance this evening.
6:51.